Fleece and Sherpa are often treated as the same kind of warm material. They look similar, feel soft, and are both associated with coziness. But anyone who has worn them knows they behave very differently on the body. Sometimes fleece feels light but stops warming, while Sherpa feels incredibly warm, and then suddenly too much. That difference isn't accidental. These materials are designed to hold warmth in completely different ways. Why fleece and Sherpa feel warm in completely different ways? Fleece and Sherpa create warmth using different strategies. Fleece is designed to balance insulation with airflow. Its structure traps air, but still allows heat and moisture to move through the fabric. This makes fleece feel light and flexible, especially during movement. Sherpa works almost in the opposite way. It relies on dense, fluffy fibers that trap large amounts of air very close to the body. This creates immediate surface warmth. The fabric feels cozy the moment you put it on, even before your body fully warms up. The key difference is stability. Fleece warmth depends on ongoing heat production and airflow. Sherpa warmth depends on containment. One adjusts constantly, the other holds warmth in place. That's why fleece often feels comfortable for longer periods, while Sherpa can feel intense very quickly. They're both warm, just in very different ways. What fleece is actually designed to do? Fleece was originally designed for active use. Its job is not just to keep heat in, but to manage heat while the body is producing it. That's why fleece works best when there is some movement, walking, standing, light activity. The fabric traps warm air in its structure, but doesn't seal it completely. This allows excess heat and moisture to escape. The result is warmth that feels breathable rather than heavy. Indoors, this can feel comfortable at first but less effective when you sit still for long periods. Fleece isn't meant to be a barrier. It's meant to be a buffer. When used as a mid-layer, it supports warmth without overheating. When used alone or against the skin, especially indoors, it can feel inconsistent. Understanding this design explains why fleece feels great in some situations and disappointing in others. What Sherpa is and why it feels warmer at first. Sherpa is designed to mimic the texture and behavior of sheepskin. It uses dense, fluffy fibers to trap a large volume of air very close to the surface of the fabric. Because of this, Sherpa creates immediate warmth as soon as it touches your body. Unlike fleece, Sherpa doesn't rely on movement or heat production to feel warm. The trapped air acts like a soft barrier, slowing heat loss right away. This is why Sherpa-lined clothing feels cozy the moment you put it on, even in a cool room. The downside of this design is that Sherpa doesn't adjust easily. Once warmth builds up, it has nowhere to go. Indoors, especially when sitting still, this can quickly shift from comfort to overheating. Sherpa warmth is intense and fast, but not always balanced. Surface warmth versus trapped warmth, the core difference. The difference between fleece and Sherpa comes down to where warmth is held. Fleece spreads warmth throughout the fabric, allowing heat to move and adjust. This creates a lighter, more breathable form of insulation that changes as your body does. Sherpa holds warmth at the surface. It creates a thick, insulated layer that traps heat very close to the body. This leads to strong surface warmth, which feels cozy but can become overwhelming when conditions don't change. Surface warmth feels immediate and comforting, but it's less flexible. Trapped warmth feels stable and long-lasting but needs balance. Understanding this distinction explains why fleece often feels more comfortable over time, while Sherpa feels warmer at first, and why each works better in different situations. How air behaves inside fleece versus Sherpa. Air is the real source of warmth, and fleece and Sherpa handle it very differently. In fleece, air is held in small, shallow pockets spread throughout the fabric. These pockets are not sealed. Air can move, shift, and be replaced as your body temperature changes. This makes fleece responsive and adaptable. Because air inside fleece can circulate, warmth rises and escapes gradually. This is useful when your body produces heat through movement, but less helpful when you sit still. The fabric doesn't lock warmth in place, it manages it dynamically. Sherpa holds air in a much denser way. Its deep pile traps larger volumes of air close together, creating a thick insulating layer. That air barely moves. Warmth builds up quickly and stays concentrated near the body. This is why Sherpa feels so warm so fast. But it's also why it can feel heavy or stifling indoors. The air is trapped, not regulated. Why Sherpa feels cozy but can become uncomfortable indoors. Sherpa is designed for comfort, not balance. Its dense, fluffy structure creates a cocoon-like effect that blocks heat loss almost immediately. Indoors, especially when you're sitting still, this can feel wonderful at first. The body relaxes, warmth settles, and everything feels cozy. Over time, however, that same structure becomes a problem. Heat continues to build, but has no easy way to escape. Moisture can accumulate, and temperature starts to feel uneven. You may feel too warm in some areas and strangely cool in others once you shift or remove a layer. This is why Sherpa-lined clothing often works best in short bursts or cooler environments. Indoors, where conditions are stable and activity is low, Sherpa warmth can cross the line from comforting to overwhelming. The fabric isn't failing. It's simply doing exactly what it was designed to do. Movement versus stillness. When fleece works better. Fleece performs best when the body is doing something. Even light movement helps fleece function the way it was designed to. As your body generates heat, fleece traps enough of it to keep you warm, while allowing excess heat and moisture to escape. This balance makes fleece feel comfortable during walking, standing, or casual activity around the house. The fabric adapts to small changes in temperature instead of locking warmth in place. You don't feel trapped inside it. When you stop moving, however, that same adaptability becomes a weakness. Without new heat being produced, fleece allows warmth to drift away. Indoors, this often shows up as a slow return of cold after sitting for a while. Fleece isn't meant to hold heat on its own. It's meant to manage heat that already exists. Sitting still, when Sherpa feels warmer. When you sit still, your body produces much less heat. Under these conditions, the ability to hold warmth becomes more important than the ability to regulate it. This is where Sherpa often feels warmer than fleece. Sherpa's dense pile traps heat close to the body and prevents it from escaping easily. When you're seated, that trapped warmth doesn't rely on movement to stay effective. The fabric acts as a barrier, slowing heat loss even when your body isn't generating much new heat. That's why Sherpa-lined clothing can feel especially warm when you're sitting indoors. The warmth is steady and concentrated. However, because Sherpa doesn't adapt quickly, that same warmth can become too much if conditions change. Sherpa excels at holding warmth, but only in the right context. Moisture and breathability. Where warmth starts to fail. Moisture is where warmth quietly breaks down, and fleece and Sherpa handle it very differently. You don't need to sweat for this to matter. Normal skin moisture, indoor humidity, or small temperature changes are enough to affect how warm a fabric feels. Fleece is relatively breathable. When moisture appears, it can move through the fabric and evaporate gradually. This helps prevent sudden cooling, especially during movement. That's why fleece often feels more stable over time when conditions change slightly. Sherpa, however, is not designed to manage moisture close to the body. Its dense pile traps air and moisture along with it. Once dampness builds up, warmth can start to feel heavy or uneven. You may feel overheated in one moment and slightly chilled the next after shifting position. This is often where Sherpa comfort starts to fail indoors, not because it isn't warm, but because moisture has nowhere to go. Why Sherpa works best as a lining, not a full layer. Sherpa performs best when it's used strategically. As a lining, it adds a strong insulating layer without being directly responsible for moisture management or temperature regulation. The outer fabric protects it, and the inner layers handle contact with the skin. When Sherpa is worn as a full layer against the body, all of its limitations become more noticeable. It traps warmth quickly but also traps moisture. It feels cozy but lacks flexibility. Indoors, this often leads to discomfort rather than lasting warmth. As a lining inside jackets, hoodies, or structured garments, Sherpa shines. It boosts insulation where it's needed while allowing other layers to manage airflow and moisture. Used this way, Sherpa warmth feels supportive instead of overwhelming, which is exactly what it was designed for. When fleece feels warmer, and when Sherpa clearly does. Whether fleece or Sherpa feels warmer depends less on temperature and more on how your body is using heat. Fleece feels warmer when there is movement or when conditions change slightly. It works with your body, adjusting as heat is produced and released. Over time, this makes fleece feel lighter and more comfortable, even if the warmth isn't intense. Sherpa feels warmer when the goal is to hold warmth in place. When you're sitting still or relaxing indoors, Sherpa's dense structure prevents heat from escaping. The warmth feels concentrated and steady, especially at first. That's why Sherpa often wins in moments of stillness. The mistake is expecting one material to replace the other. Fleece manages warmth. Sherpa contains it. When you understand this difference, the choice becomes much clearer. Not which one is warmer in general, but which one works better for what you're actually doing.